Good morning, Fearless fam, and welcome back to Mental Health Monday. Today is all about a topic that is not quite as happy as the smile I have on my face, but it's very important anyways. Personally, I think people don't talk about it enough, and that is post-grad depression. So first, I think it's important to define what post-grad means in my mind. So basically, you're in your last school that you're gonna be in for the foreseeable future. You've graduated, you're ready for the real world. So for some people, this is high school. For some people, it's college. I went to Willamette University, which is a 4-year private school in Salem, Oregon, and I lived on campus for all 4 years. I had a really close group of friends that formed super early in our time in college, and it grew and reformed, and it was like this beautiful thing, and I just adored the people that I went to school with. I loved my friend group like it was a family. I still consider them family, even though we don't see each other enough. I'm going to be seeing a couple of them very soon, which I'm really excited about. And I just saw a couple of them when I was up in Portland, because a bunch of people moved to Portland after they went to Willamette. But anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. The whole point is I was very close to the people that I went to school with. For the first semester of college, I did not love school. Sophomore year, fell head over heels in love with college. I was like, finally had gotten my pace going. I was loving my major, my classes, everything. I was signing up for like all these activities. I had an amazing time. I'm not sure if I've ever told you guys this, but when I first started college, I was a music major. And then eventually I switched my major to rhetoric and media studies. And that's why I have a minor in music, is because I was originally going to major in it. So I had already finished the minor. And by the time that I was done with school, I was so passionate about ethics and rhetoric. I had like favorite philosophers. I loved school. I loved learning. However, I was definitely ready to get out. I was tired of constantly being evaluated on my learning and taking tests and feeling really stressed out. I just wanted to learn from life. I was really ready to just be done with that whole like organized learning aspect of school and be out in the unorganized, beautiful, weird, organic learning of the real world. College was a huge time of growth for me. When I think about the person I was when I first started college and the person I was when I graduated, it's crazy because they're two completely different people. By the time college was ending, I was more confident. I felt more like myself. I had traveled a little. I had an amazing group of friends. I had like promising future and these really like strong, unbreakable, liberal arts school morals. So when graduation was beginning to be a thing, I was freaked the fuck out. My friends and I were constantly talking about how we had been going to school, like an actual formal like school system, since we were like in preschool. So that's like age, I don't know, 3? So from age 3, and then I was now 21, all that time I had been a student, and that had been my role. And I was terrified to step into a completely unknown role. I was also in kind of a strange position when I graduated college, because I need to make a video all about how I met my husband, but basically we met when I was on Thanksgiving break with my friends in Las Vegas, and I just talked about that in my Travel Talk Tuesday video last week, which I'll have linked above. So we met on my Thanksgiving break. There's 2 cats in my backyard now. I don't have cats. They're digging. That's who digs in the backyard. It's not the dog, it's the fucking cats. Things you learn from sitting in your sunroom. Anyways, I don't even remember what I was talking about. So anyways, I had met my husband in Vegas. That was my senior year, so that's late November. I graduated in mid-May. For reasons that I cannot fully explain. God, there's this whole aspect to my life and to Eric's life that I've never explained in the vlogs that I want to explain, but I'm not really supposed to do it publicly. I was thinking about making a Patreon account. This is a total weird tangent, but if you guys like want to know this like secret side to my life, then I'm considering starting Patreon, so let me know if you'd be interested in that. I just can't post it publicly, but if someone wanted to kind of like buy into knowing this information, then that's possible. Eric was preoccupied with some things that had him not in the country. So I wanted to be with Eric really bad. Him and I don't know what it was, but we fell in love like right away. We knew we were gonna like get married right away. It was like the weirdest, quickest relationship I've ever been in my life. Best relationship, obviously. We're still married. And I knew that I was too curious and too in love with Eric to give up on that whole relationship. So I basically put my own career on hold to have the flexibility to be with him as soon as he came back. After I graduated college, I moved back in with my parents, and I was just being constantly bombarded by my loving parents. Obviously, they're doing this out of love. I do not blame them for like bombarding me in any way, but out of a lot of love, my parents, grandparents, neighbors, friends, everybody, like I swear, it was like all of a sudden it felt like everybody was nagging me to hurry up and get into a career. That's what it felt like to me. I felt like all of a sudden there was like this huge burden on me. I went from being admired for being in college and finishing out college to all of a sudden feeling like I was almost a total loser in the eyes of a lot of people because I graduated college and I didn't have a job lined up. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. My student loan debt was gonna kick in like 6 months. I just remember it being a really stressful time. I kind of bided my time by working at a berry stand. I sat outside in the sun playing ukulele and selling berries. Not the worst gig in the world, but I was feeling so unfulfilled and bored and just really anxious about what the future held for me. Once Eric came back, at that point, I had actually not spent more than like 12 hours in person with him, maybe 12 hours. So I spent like 10 days at his parents' house and 5 days down at his place in Southern California. And then less than a month later, I quit my job and moved in with him. That was about September. So I graduated in May. He came back in August, moved in with him in September. We had our crazy road trip that November. And then we moved to San Francisco in January. Once we moved to San Francisco together, everything was like fine. It was like I was finally settled and at a point where I had the opportunity to actually like search for work and make that my full-time job. So actually I did work at Nordstrom for like a year and a half, which was a year and a half too long, but I really needed to be making some kind of an income right away. And then that would enable me to network and kind of get in onto some kind of career. And eventually that led me to a social media position and a radio job and different things. And I did really actually get into my career path. But the whole experience of like graduating and then a year later feeling like settled in San Francisco was a much messier experience than I had expected. You know, I had expected to job hunt, find a job, get into my career, work my way up the system, that's that. But as you can see, I am no longer in that radio job, no longer in that social media position for that startup in downtown San Francisco, no longer pursuing either of those career paths. I'm pursuing my own career path now. My whole point is that my story is complex and messy, and that's how everybody's stories are. There's no one right way to go about it. But the things that I was hearing from people and the advice I was getting about you need to network, you need to get on LinkedIn, you need to apply here, talk to this person, like all that stuff that I was getting made it seem like everything was going to be so straightforward, and it wasn't. And when everything was up in the air, terrifying, stepping this like unknown role, all this stuff, I was deeply depressed. Pretty much right when I graduated college, like the day I left campus and said bye to my friends. I mean, I remember that night sitting in our graduation robes, sobbing. We were like hanging out at my friend's house. We were having a few drinks, and then someone said something that like tugged at everybody's heartstrings, and one person started crying, and literally everybody started sobbing. We couldn't even look at each other because we loved each other so much, and we were together almost every day. And it was like all of a sudden we're all gonna go our separate ways, and like we're never all gonna be together again. And it's a really hard pill to swallow, and it makes me want to cry just thinking about it now. But I'm so grateful for where I am now, and it's taken me years to get to this point. What I've realized throughout this time is that the key to my happiness and the gateway out of my depression was never visit my friends more, get a good career, get married, have a baby. Like none of that stuff was the key to getting out of my depressive state. The key was right here. My mind. I am happy now, and I am probably in a scarier, more unknown role than I have ever been in my entire life. And I feel grateful and settled and happy and so excited for what the future holds. And yes, I still get anxious and depressed, like randomly, depending on what life stage I'm in. But that's just how life goes. And honestly, I think that graduating college immediately kickstarted this like state of depression. And I think that state of post-grad depression is so much more common than you think. people don't talk about it because, there's some people who are in college and they're applying to jobs their senior year. They're being so proactive, making the rest of us look bad. Honestly, good for you. If that's you, that's really amazing. But there are people who already have a job when they get out of college. There are people who have huge success networking and getting on LinkedIn and applying to all these jobs, and they eventually do find a job. There's people who don't move in with their parents after they graduate. There's people who move in with their parents and live with their parents for like way too long after they graduate. Eventually, though, you find your way. And it's really hard when you're in that state of depression to see your way out of it. So what I wanted to do was provide you guys with my story. So first of all, that you know that you're not alone. You are really not alone. I know a lot of other people who went through post-grad depression. But the second reason I really wanted to make this video is because I want you guys to realize that you have the power completely within yourself. No one else needs to come in on this in order for you to become happy and feel settled and grateful again. It is all you. Yeah, there's some weird chemicals going on in your brain and stuff, but you have the power to get out of this depressive state. So that's a huge reason why I wanted to make this video. I wanted to give you guys plenty of points to launch off from for you to get out of your post-grad depression. For me, a big one was going through some exercises that helped me to understand myself and to understand my passion, however you want to put it, what my kind of like life's purpose was. So I included links down below to help you guys out to discover your passion, hear other people's stories, learn more about yourself. And there are so many resources out there. I highly encourage that you just do a quick Google search for, any weird general questions that you have, like, what is my dream career? Like, just Google it. There's so many resources for you. And going through all these steps and exercises, no hiccups. Going through all these exercises to figure out what I wanted to do with my career helped me to realize a few things. Number one, I was able to realize what my real priorities are. And I'm not going to go into what my priorities are because you need to come up with your own priorities. Number two, it helped me realize that I get to craft my own life. If you don't want a 9-to-5 office job, don't get a 9-to-5 office job. If you want to work outside, if you love being outside and that's what makes you happiest, get a job that's outside. You can have whatever you want. That's one thing I learned. I'm the master of my domain. What is it? Master of my own ship, captain of my... And the last thing I learned is that any time of transition in life is always difficult. Any transitional period of my life, I've always entered some state of panic or anxiety or depression or some kind of mental health block. But it has always gotten better every time. From one thing to an unknown thing, and then it becomes very known to me, and then everything's better again. Things will get better. The real world can feel really fake and really cruel when you get out of college. But I have discovered that it's all in your mindset. That's a really long hair. If you are thinking positively, you're more likely to see people in positive states. It's like this really crazy thing. So yeah, that's my story. That's my advice for you. If you have any more particular questions about post-grad depression, or you have more questions about my story, please comment it down below because I would love to answer your questions and I would love to start a discussion. If you have any tips for people, any advice, any links, put it down below in the comments. The more we talk about post-grad depression, the more it will be acknowledged and the more resources that will be out there for you, and the more normal we'll all feel. Don't look at it like the world is out to get you or you're gonna fail. Look at it like you've got this clean slate in front of you and you can have whatever you want. So what are your priorities? What is it that you want? Start crafting a plan of how you're gonna get there and take it one step at a time.
There's no need to rush. It's like learning to fly, falling in love.
And anyways, on that note, the sun is coming down a little much. It's ruining the lighting in my video and I should probably end this. I've talked for too long. I hope this helped even one of you guys. If it did, that makes my day. It really does. And if you have any other suggestions for what I should talk about on the next Mental Health Monday, let me know. Thank you for watching today, guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Okay, bye!